Welcome to the Diaspora Lounge. We're actually going to be talking about it. Choosing a partner, a life partner. Many people know that it's a very important and crucial decision that has to be taken very seriously. But I say today that I don't think that we're thinking about it in the serious way that we ought to. We take it serious, but I think that we look at basic things. But there is much more that I'm finding out today, speaking with people and issues that people are having. Many of us don't even realize just how seriously we should be looking into the details when picking a life partner. Let me bring Izzy and Akin into the studio.
So that is when you say my Lord in that sense.
Saying, Akin, we're already talking. I think that we all know naturally that this is a decision that has to be given a lot of thought, and we have to be very careful and intentional about it. And many people think that they are being intentional. Many people think they are being intentional, and yet they still get in there and are surprised at what they're finding. And I'm thinking that after getting in and seeing that this is what you have found surprises, it doesn't look as if I don't think that we're approaching this getting a solution in the right way. I think that what we're doing now is just jumping to divorce. I mean, if the relationship is difficult and you can't go on, I understand that you can do the divorce. But instead of doing that divorce and letting it end there, and then thinking that the next person who is coming will find out again just as you found out, why don't more people come out and actually talk? And I'm not talking about talking as in blaming their partners, because I don't think that it's even the problem of who your partner is that's really causing issues.
Finding a life partner has to be intentional. Even though a lot of people might tell you they are actually intentional, no, a lot of people are not actually intentional. It's one thing for someone to tell you that they are intentional, and it's another thing for them to be really intentional. Do you understand me? So that someone tells you they're intentional does not mean they are actually intentional, because a lot of people go with the flow and they hope along the line that something happens or something changes. Let me give you a very good example. If you are a if you are a Christian, do you understand me? Somebody who is very spiritual. Do you understand? Let me say a lady who is very spiritual, even a guy, it could be any of the sexes or any of the genders, and you're very spiritual. At least you go to church, you believe somehow in the supernatural and you believe in God a lot. And then you say to me that you are intentional, and then you start to go, for one reason or the other, you start to go out with somebody, you understand me, who is not in any way spiritual, who you practically have to beg or plead with, or to even say, okay, let us pray, or let us go to church, or let us do something spiritual. And you have the mind of, and you are of a marriageable age. You are not talking about someone who is in their teen or who is in their early 20s, who is not ready to get married, who is just living life, having fun. And then you say to me that you're intentional, and then you're going out with somebody who is not, and you are hoping. That's why I say some of them are hoping. And you're hoping that, okay, so you have already put a hurdle in front of yourself. Do you understand me? You've already put a hurdle in front of, because you have to, for you to get anything meaningful because of your own makeup, except you want to change and go back to the way you were, you've already put a hurdle in front of yourself to make that relationship a success. Do you get what I'm saying? And it could be other things. It might not be spiritual. It can be it can be attitudinal. You see a character
In
in a
essence,
person. You see a character in a person, and you know that you are really averse to such characteristics in people, or because you say you're under the illusion of I love you or I love,
Yes. In that sense,
and
we're setting ourselves up for failure.
yes, you're creating a hurdle that is unnecessary yourself for that relationship to be successful. And even if you manage the relationship and it's a bit successful, and you now let it lead into marriage, you're going to get you're going to get yourself into a bigger problem than you were even in when it was just a relationship. So first and foremost, the first thing in being intentional is making the right choice. As in, when you're going to go into a relationship with someone, there are certain things you will know about the person in the first few weeks, few months of going out with the person. Yeah. There's a voice
Yeah.
coming from that.
Audio coming in from
Yeah,
somewhere.
I don't know where it is coming from.
Hey,
Anyway,
are you there? Are you frozen?
Sorry.
Okay, it's not from you, right?
It might be from me.
Let me see.
there's a
There's
frequency
something I
coming.
can't control.
Yeah.
It's from me. There's something I can't control around here.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
You
while
can
Aki is
knock. You
talking, maybe
can
we
knock
can be on
your.
mute.
Just mute your audio for now.
But don't forget to unmute when you want
So
to
when you want to talk, you can mute or you can unmute. So that is a critical. That's the stage which I call the selection stage. You know, there are different stages in picking a partner. There is the selection stage. If you make the mistake in the selection stage and create hurdles that are not necessary, you will encounter bigger problems in the future. Then, and sometimes the problem you encounter in the initial might not even be much, because you're managing, you're compromising, you understand me. But when
Yeah.
you get into a marriage, it becomes much more difficult. It now becomes like a prison. So first and foremost, you've got to take care of the selection stage. Now, if you make a mistake at the selection stage, then that's when you need to start making a lot of marriage in itself. You got to, even if you get the best person, you need to make compromises. You understand me? But you when you select, your selection stage is wrong, you will now need to make even sometimes life-threatening compromises.
They are life threatening.
Yeah,
Once that whatever, yeah, they are life threatening.
so that's then, and then at the end of the day, you can say to yourself, oh, this person no, the first choice is yours. That the selection stage is the most important. I know people change, people can be like this, you understand, but if you stay long enough for them, and that's the point of courtship, you will see certain, except you want to close your eyes to them.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I was having this discussion with one of my aunties last weekend, and I was telling her that what I find is our problem as human beings is that what we do is that we fall in love and then decide that we're going to marry this person. But we're supposed to delay falling in love. That's what we have to do, because if you don't do that, that thing is going to come and mess you up, because you're thinking of that person in that way, feeling so it's so endearing, and they're too close to you. You don't want to let go. So everything that you see, you're going to find a way to say, I will manage it. And unfortunately, we have this saying that love conquers all. I say that that's not the meaning of that saying. I think we're misusing that saying and we're misinterpreting it.
Yeah.
Because it's not that type of love where you are loving someone to marry them, the person that you're not supposed to be loving in that way. You're not going to conquer anything. You won't, because you cannot even love someone into being the right person for you. So
Yeah.
you can love someone, but you have to let them go and not take that relationship in a direction that it shouldn't. I think that's one of the biggest things that we need to learn. Just because you love someone does not mean that you have to make that relationship solidify it, solidify it in other ways like friendship or whatever else, but not in that direction. But that's the difficulty. So because it's so difficult, we have to fight that falling in love stage. Is what I don't know if you have another way to put it.
For me, a lot of people might sit down, maybe they're watching this and they think, oh, is this man saying that people can't just fall in love? There's nothing wrong in falling in love. You can just see someone and it clicks and you like the person, but there's a difference between falling in love and getting married. Marriage is a higher calling, and a lot of things would depend on your marriage. The life of your in-laws, or the psychological condition of your in-laws, of your family, of your children, of yourself, will
Okay.
depend on your marriage. Because if you get into a marriage that is toxic because you fell in love, and you fell in love with the wrong person, quote and unquote, there's really no wrong person, but you fell in love with the wrong person, a lot of people are going to suffer
Yeah.
because of that, your decision. Even the person that you're getting married to, because of you fall in love, is going to suffer. Because
But you have to be careful with saying that, because some people are going to think, okay, maybe love is not that important.
that's what I'm trying to say. There's nothing that's I wanted to get to that. There's nothing wrong in falling in love, and there's still nothing wrong in using common sense.
Hmm.
You cannot fall in love with someone that has a character trait of things that you cannot stand. That's one. And not alone that you are not ready to compromise. You know, a lot of people, there are people in marriage, and the marriage is not toxic because they are able to compromise in to their level of their ability to compromise, to adapt, is very high. You cannot be in a marriage where you are not ready. You saw things in the person. You understand me? If you see things in people that you cannot stomach, then you should not get married to them, because you are setting up yourself for a lifetime of torture.
And
But
also torturing the person.
yes, but if you feel that you can compromise, you can adapt, you understand, you can go ahead. It's your decision. Do you understand me? But the issue basically is that, do not now get into the marriage and now turn that thing into a bigger thing than it is, and then now make the relationship toxic. Because you can't meet the perfect person, but you need to decide, when you meet someone, whether you're falling in love or not, whether you're using your sense or not. You must say to yourself, oh, this person is doing these things, 1 2 3, I can live with them. This person is doing 1 2 3, I cannot live with them. What's the possibility of what magnitude are these characteristics in this person? And then those are the things, because love is one thing, common sense is another. You can start a relationship with infatuation. Do you understand me? And it can develop into love, because you can now begin to see the real person after some time. But the issue basically is that you cannot, in choosing a partner, you will never get 100% partner. But there's a certain percentage that whoever you want to get married to must score, at least on you two will score on their page, or on their score line. But then on your own score line, there's a certain percentage anyone you're going to get married to must score. Do you get? Before you say, okay, this is the person I want to settle in with. You understand? It doesn't mean that you get into the marriage and your partner still does not annoy you sometimes. It doesn't mean that. Partners will annoy you. You will annoy your partner, but you don't go beyond the threshold of maybe being annoyed every day. The moment you are in a relationship or a marriage where you are annoyed every day, then I mean that is totally wrong. That means you didn't do your due diligence well
Yeah.
enough. That's
Yeah.
what I will say.
Okay.
So finding a partner is easy. if you're doing the right thing, and it's also not easy when you're doing the wrong things. That's my take.
Well, I would say love is never enough. I believe in love, but I don't think love is enough when you're finding someone to settle down with.
Yeah.
There are so many things to look out for. There is companionship, there is characteristics, behavioral differences between you and the person. And then there's something I always tell people to look out for. The image you built in your mind about the man you want to marry and the man you got. Sometimes I think that's the confusion people get. They have a mindset of the tall, dark, handsome, sweep me up off my feet, breakfast in bed lifestyle.
Why are you
And
talking
that's
about this?
always not reality.
And those two trivial.
Yes, but in this generation, that is what they look out
Some
for.
people live there. People live there.
In this generation, if you have a chat with so many people in their early 30s, in their late 20s, what they look out for is not, it's very trivial. Let me use your term. They
Okay,
are
let's talk to our
not
audience.
important.
Let's talk to our audience,
Yes.
because those people are too far away for this.
No, but we must talk to everybody.
This is out to everyone. This is out to everyone.
We must talk to everybody.
The truth of the matter is, for me, love is never enough. You have to look at compatibility. How well do I suit this person? Because there is no wrong person, just like Akin said, but compatibility is key. What can I tolerate from this person? What would this person tolerate from me? These are things, preliminary things to look out for. You have to think about it. You have to preempt the rough days. And the problem most people have in this generation is that we don't preempt the rough days. It's all rosy and smooth. And life doesn't work that way. So you get in, you have that perfect vision of it's going to work because we're in love. Love is not enough to sustain any marriage. You know, there is tolerance. There's a whole lot. The list is endless if you have to look at it. But finding the right partner, you need to be right yourself. And being right might not be for the person you found. You have to be right for the person you want to live with. I might be right in my thinking, I might be right in my judgment, but I might not be right for the man I'm getting married to. What would happen? Yeah, I'm young. When you're young, you're wise. So we take wisdom from Akin, we take wisdom from you, and then we join in with what we've seen in life, and then we become wiser than you. So I'm young and I'm wise. So, but the truth about it is, you have to preempt what marriage would be. How it is when it's just the two of you is not how it might be when the kids come. Just like Akin mentioned before we came live, there is tolerance in marriage. The way you want to discipline a child or raise a child might not be your partner's point of view. And for me, these are things to discuss to some extent. You can never preempt everything, but you have to discuss the basis. There is issue of correction. There is issue of, if you want your marriage to be fruitful, like you're looking forward to, because I've seen people in this generation who don't want kids in marriage. They are real about it to themselves, you know, and they wear the suits and wait for the in-laws to come for the fights, but they've made up their minds that they don't want kids, you know, and everything. So if you want to look at having kids, you have to look at the rough days. So what if the money goes? What if this is not there? What if that is not there? Is love enough to sustain? So the discussion has to be way deeper than I love you. The discussion has to be above the surface. It has to be above, I love the way you walk and your shape and the way you look and the way you talk. It has to be about the qualities you have. Would this man be with me through thick and thin? Would this man be able to help me correct the kids? If I bring up my opinion in the future, will I be shut down? I think these are things to think about before you take that great step.
I want to quickly say something to support what Ezi is saying. You're going out with someone, you're in a relation, you love the person. The person, so to say, has a lot of good qualities, so maybe that's encouraging. But there are two things that are very important in marriage and which a lot of people don't understand. I'm just giving you there are many qualities to look out for. But one simple thing, you go out with somebody for like 1 year, 2 years.
2 years.
I'm just saying 1 or 2 years. Courtship can be for as long as the two people want it to be. It can even be 6 months. But I'm just saying 1 or 2
Yeah.
years. I'm just saying that's enough, long enough to know someone. Or to even say you would have had 1 or 2 quarrels.
Mm-hmm.
Or 1 or 2 misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going out with someone and you're thinking, okay, this person is my wife or is my husband. And the person has never, in all of those quarrels, has never apologized to you, has never said sorry. Do you understand me? And
Yeah.
or the person, you find that maybe the person has a problem with forgiveness. Maybe you did something wrong. You will do something wrong if two people go out for 2 years or 1.5 years. You will do something wrong. You will miss a meeting. You will miss a date. You will miss an outing. You will miss somewhere you need to be and you were not there for one reason or the other. Something will definitely, except you are just jobless and you are not doing anything. Something will happen that will require that you forgive. Something will happen that will require that you say you're sorry. And in those 2 years, or that 1 year, that never came out of the lips of a person. Those are clear shots for you to know that, because those are 2 key things in any
For
relationship.
partnership. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for partnership to work. There's no how careful you are. You are going to step on your partner's toe, and your partner is going to step on your toes, because you two are different human beings that have come to become one. Yes, you are
Raised
different.
independently.
And
Yes.
you have different experiential backgrounds. You have
Yeah.
different training. You come from maybe
The
different
reason I'm
cultures.
laughing, even with your siblings,
Yeah,
sometimes
yes,
you can't
yes,
even stand your siblings. So
yeah. So, but it says to you that, but so those are qualities those are simple qualities that you look out for. And if you let love blind you to the point that you cannot look at those qualities, or you don't consider those qualities, that could be your undoing when you get into that marriage situations, because it's not going to get easier in terms of challenges coming up. It's going to get more, but it's in those little abilities, those little qualities that help to resolve and smoothing things. You understand me? The ability to forgive and the ability to say you're sorry. Maybe for men, even sometimes when you don't really feel that you are wrong. Do you understand me? But the issue basically is that if you're going out with someone and you don't see that in someone, I'm just giving you just 2 qualities, but they are simple qualities, but there are other qualities. Do you get what I'm saying? Well, when I said earlier that, okay, we are a spiritual person and you're thinking of who is not even spiritual at all. I'm not saying that there are not people who are spiritual and they've gotten married to somebody who is not spiritual. What I'm saying is that, have you made up your mind that that's the compromise you are willing to make? You must decide. Okay, a Christian can marry you. Okay, you're a Christian, you want to marry a Muslim. You must sit down and uh, um, think about the implication of your relationship between you and the person, between your family and the family of the person. And you must say to yourself that I'm ready to go. So that if you now go into the relationship 5 years after, 10 years after, and you are now making that an issue, then you are the one who has a problem. Because there are also obvious characteristics, obvious behavioral patterns, obvious things that you see in a person.
Yeah.
But you overlook them, and then when you get into the marriage, you now decide that. So let's even not talk about marriage. Let's talk about choosing, because that's finding a partner. If there are things that you do not agree with
She
in
has
your
to think.
partner, you must decide on the scale of 1 to 10 where they occupy, and decide that, is this strong enough in my heart to create a problem in the relationship or the marriage in the future. If you decide that you are not ready to compromise on that factor, because it's your marriage, it's nobody's marriage, it's your marriage. If you're saying that you're not ready to compromise, then there's no point marrying the person, because you're just going to create obstacles that you need not in that kind of relationship. That's what I've got to say.
I honestly feel almost like maybe one gives people the impetus or the courage to go ahead to form an agreement like this, a marriage with someone that they already know that there are things that they can't stand, or what gives us the courage to go ahead to do that? Isn't it because we already know that worst comes to worst, we can break this relationship and go our separate ways, right? But how about
I really don't think so, because
Ah,
the truth about it is that, except for some psychotic persons, I am not excluding some people with psychotic tendencies, you understand, who have some mental issues and they look like normal people. There are people in life like that. I don't think an average person really truly wants to go into a marriage that they except maybe they are doing it for other reasons. They are into the marriage for other reasons, for financial and several other factors. But
it seems to me when I look around and when
I'm coming. Sorry to but for someone who's going to, for an average person who is going to a marriage for the sake of, okay, I want to be with this person, I want to spend my life with this person, even though I am doing it on a wrong premise, in terms of I'm ignoring a lot of red flags. For an average person who does that, I don't think they are having the mind that, oh, I want to leave, I will leave, if the worst comes to the worst, I leave the marriage. I think the problem is that what they have is a fallacy, suspension of disbelief, and a fallacy of an optimistic fallacy of always thinking that it will turn out right. Maybe if I pray enough, maybe if I compromise enough, maybe if I do this enough, maybe that's major. It's not like they go into it thinking, okay, if the worst comes to the worst. Divorce is not emotionally, is not the best thing for anyone. It has broken the strongest of people. So I don't think anybody goes, aside from all those people that I talked about earlier, I don't think the average person goes in thinking, I think they just have this optimistic fallacy rather, that it will work out.
I really like the way you put it.
Yeah.
You know, the reason I put it that way is because I'll see a young girl. The guy is already, right now, she's already fighting with him because she finds out that he's having other relationships. And he's impatient with her. And everything already looks bad, but she's still planning a marriage. So in my mind, I'm thinking, you already know.
There are signs there for you.
You already know that this is a possibility. So for the fact that you're going ahead, it's like you're saying to yourself, I really want this person. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, I know this is what's going to happen. That's the way that I'm reading it. I also understand the fallacy of the expecting things to be positive, you know, and so then we start misinterpreting things like maintain a positive mindset, love conquers all, and all those nice things that we want. But just because we want those things and because we're speaking those things, it's not going to make them reality. We don't
Motivational quotes.
Huh?
Motivational.
The truth is that
motivational
the
tracks.
truth is that a lot of young people,
Even I think people, not just young people, even people of my age.
Yeah, it's not
majority of the issue now. The fact that divorce has been so commonized makes people not think deep before
Yeah.
That's what I'm
marriage.
beginning to think. That's what
Yeah.
I'm beginning to think.
You're right.
Yes.
You're right.
Because it doesn't look like, some years back in the day, as they would say, divorce was like a taboo. They would tell you, even no matter what you're going through in a marriage, your family would say, our family is not known for divorce. So, there was an image or an integrity to protect, even at the cost of someone's mental well-being or health or life. There was just an integrity to protect, like we don't come back home. We don't come back home. But because it became so rampant in the Western world, I'll start with them. And then we in Africa, we love copying. So many people don't look at someone's negative characters. You see someone being abused before a marriage and they're saying he will change. He loves me because 2 years ago when the relationship started, he used to say, I love you over everything. And now she's not, deep down, she knows he barely says, I love you, but she believes he will change. And some women, let me use the women folks, still go deeper, saying, once I have a child for him, he loves children. I see him doting on his sister's child. Once I have a child, it would endear him to me. He knows I'm not a baby mama. I won't be a baby mama. I'll be the wife. The family would accept me. These are some of the reasons why, even when everything in the world turns into a red flag and is screaming, no, 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 they tell themselves that no is a yes, So I think we've gotten to a point where we need reorientation. And I don't want to use cloud chasing as a term, but the online clap of good. Recently, I just started seeing young Nigerians in Nigeria, young girls in less than 30. I'm sorry I have to use this age demography, however will I describe them, because I'm seeing a lot of them on Twitter and on Instagram. But recently, we're seeing a trend of them having these divorce parties, this freedom party. I just saw one 2 weeks ago and I was like, oh, wow. And that's a very young lady, not even with a child. But this age of social media and looking out for how people react to it, and especially when you come out and tell your story, even if the guy is not talking, come out, tell a story, and everybody claps for you and says, oh, you're a strong woman. You went through all this. Although there are some people who would be real with you, but you know that the ones that will cheer you on to victory, wherever you're going to, are a lot more. That has taken away our reasoning to some extent. Sit down, ask yourself questions. What did I do wrong? A lot of us in our marriages is not as smooth as it is now. It wasn't that smooth in the early days or in the middle days somehow. Some of us there are misunderstandings in every marriage, but some of us had people who will sit down and ask you questions and say, what did you do? Not only about he did this, she did this, she did this. What would you do? If you have those people in your circle, I think these are people that would help you realize. And it's good to have a very good set of eyes, apart from the two you have. People that will look at and ask you, is this what you want to live with? Sincerely. I know in the past we've talked about an incident where some people were looking in and, trying to find out the girl's background.
I remember that episode, yeah.
That topic, yeah. But, that is actually looking out too. There are questions to be asked. Unfortunately, when we had that topic, I was against them looking in. But having this topic now, it's good to have those pair of eyes who would ask you questions, who would, without saying a word, call you aside and say, I'm seeing this. And I know this is not in line with who you are or what you can tolerate. Are you sure you can live with this? But the most important thing is being true to yourself. And the world has so evolved that we've gotten to a point that we're not being true to ourselves. So many people, not me, are not being true to themselves. Some ladies want to get married because their friends are getting married. So there's this peer pressure of everybody's wearing a sweaby. When is your own happening? And then even a guy you don't want to dwell with, you're just, let it not be that everyone in my circle is taken and I'm the only single one, There are so many pressures, but the truth is, people are not looking at marriage as a lifelong commitment anymore. It's not the long-term run anymore. People
Okay.
people are looking at it like, okay, Amina went left and then she's happy, she's doing better. Meanwhile, Amina soaks her pillow every night too. Is more wet than a washing machine that is running. But nobody knows because Amina comes out with the makeup and everything and is like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Party happens. It has gotten to a point where I feel parents from someone is crawling around me. Sorry, so distracting. I think parents from an age where your kids are entering early adulthood need to start having certain
Before
discussions
then, long before then.
long before they even meet the person they would like to settle with. This generation needs to do more as parents. Ask questions, talk to your children, and before they start
We need to
even
do
dating,
better. We
yes,
need to do better.
start showing them not what they should expect from the next person, because if your child is expecting perfection from the next person, I expect your child to be perfect, and in reality there's no perfect person. But start telling your kids, because if you enlighten your children about what to look out for, the red signs, even
Okay.
if they're going to boarding house,
No,
they'll
I
be
even
more informed.
yeah, I even want to say that um, I would rather take the opposite of, or let me say, I will adjust what you just said, but I'll take the other side of it. You know that they said, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So, what the way I would say to people is that raise your children. You understand me? Put it inside them so that it is easy for them to identify it in people. Do you understand me? What you don't have, you can't
Yes.
give. And what you do not have and appreciate, you cannot see in others. So first and foremost, if
That's
I
the
mean,
sad part.
yeah, because you've got to imbibe that culture. Because you cannot be asking what you don't have from other people. You cannot be a saucy girl and expect that you will sustain a relationship with a guy whose tongues are bridled. It's I mean that is unfair. Do you understand? So for whatever you want, whatever characteristics you want in anyone, you should hold yourself up to that measurement also. Then you will be fair enough to demand it from the other person.
I love that. I love that. It's what I so what I like. The way I like to put it is, if we haven't, because I was even saying to my sisters just a few days ago, at any point in time with everything that we do with other people, if we haven't gotten to a point where we will say we will keep the second rule of the commandments that were given, that
Yeah,
is, treat or love your neighbor as yourself, then anything we see we deserve.
yeah,
Almost kind of anything we see we deserve. Because if we can keep that at the back of our minds in everything that we're doing, then I mean, if I do this for you, the barest minimum I expect back from you is exactly this.
yeah,
And yes, and I will not take less from you, and therefore I will not give you less. So once we can, that will be a good guide for us.
yeah.
So you see, those commandments were given for a reason, to follow them.
We as parents, I believe we need to start doing better. We need to start talking to our children and inculcating the right, because the truth about it is that a lot of people, there was something we were talking about a few episodes ago where we were talking about the girl child of and I said I remember I said something that there's a lot of focus on the girl child, that okay, the girl child is the girl child, and a lot of parents are ignoring the work they
Yeah,
need to do
raising the boys.
on the boys that they are raising.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you focus on the girl, if the girl turns out right,
Who is she
but
going to marry?
who is she going to marry?
Where is the good guy that she's going to marry?
Yes, when the guy has the wrong ideas in his head
Yes.
of who a woman is, you
Yeah.
understand, of who a wife should be, or who, do you understand me? The responsibilities of a wife is responsibilities to a woman, whether as a girlfriend or a wife.
Yeah.
You understand me? So there's a lot. Our values actually is a major problem.
Yeah. It is. our own
even in this part of the world, and even in our home country, in Africa, the values have shifted. The
Yeah.
values have shifted, and it's affecting a lot of things. It's affecting even what we're talking about, which is
Yeah.
finding a partner. It's affecting it, the things that people
Yeah.
look out for, the
Yeah.
expectations that people have, the things they overlook, and the things they're supposed to, put their mind on looking out to say, okay, if this person, then okay, I can deal with this, I can deal with that. So it's a problem with our value system, which has
Yeah,
deteriorated.
one some pictures of a guy who beat up his fiance, or who it was, and she was bleeding. So I was
Yeah,
discussing that with my cousin, and we're like, how do we make sure that okay, so like how do we make sure that our kids do not end up in such relationships? And I don't think it's about praying. Praying is part of it, but I
yeah,
don't think it's about praying and hoping that they don't fall into the wrong hands. That day it just came to my mind. I was like, okay, so here is what it is. I said, no, they won't fall into the wrong hands. If we teach them to have high standards
yeah,
of themselves, they're
yeah,
always giving only high standards. And that's what they're used to. So that when
yeah.
they meet somebody who is not giving high standards, they know this person
The,
doesn't even
you,
belong.
yeah, the person will be naturally cut off from them.
Naturally, yes. So we're sifting the shaft, right,
The
from
wheat
the
from the
wheat
shaft.
straight
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
High realistic standard, because I've seen a lot of young girls who have unrealistic standards.
No. We are the ones teaching them. We
Um,
teach
Okay,
them the high
okay.
standards that they are to uphold for themselves, and therefore to also expect.
the
Yeah.
standards basically should be more on character than material. If we are able
Yeah.
to tailor them towards character standards, you understand me?
Yeah.
Characters that help relationship to flourish, not
Yes.
characters that destroy and make relationships toxic,
Let's even take
whatever level.
characters that basically that you use to relate with anybody at all. Because
Yeah,
once you can relate in a civilized manner,
yeah,
respectfully with
Yes.
anybody,
yeah,
then you are a good candidate to be in a relationship.
yeah.
Because once
Because
you
it
can't
doesn't
do that,
change. It doesn't
yeah,
change in a
because once you can't
relationship.
do that with just anybody, then you have no business
Yeah,
having a relationship. Yeah,
yeah.
there's a comment here. Also mentioned delaying falling in love. Can you really delay it? You cannot control falling in love, but you can keep it away from the person. Until such a time as they're ready. And it's kind of what I meant. So that comment is
Falling,
kind of what I meant.
falling in love.
I mean, because of
People need,
time.
yeah, people need to segregate falling in love and marriage.
Yes,
Falling
let's
in
let's
love,
deal with that
yes, falling in love
as a
can
topic.
happen to anybody. You can fall in love with someone, but later realize that you
It was
using, I mean,
infatuation.
certain parameters, and yes, using
No. Maybe you are too good for the person, or the person is too good for you. And just
yeah,
be realistic with
you can
yourself.
fall in
And
love,
you're not
but
right. You're not the
yes,
right balance.
using your metrics, you can decide that I love this
Yeah.
person, but this person is not the best for me in
Not the
terms of
right balance
marriage.
for you.
Yes, I mean that's all. It's not. It doesn't
But the
mean you are
first thing should
wicked.
be knowing what is best for you.
Yes.
So the first
Yes.
thing should be knowing what is best for you, which so many
And
people
not,
do
and not
not know.
necessarily because you are a good candidate yourself,
Yeah.
but because you can even be a bad, let me just put it this way, bad person, and
Yeah.
you get the right partner for you. You just need to
Yes.
get the right partner for you. And both of you
Yes.
can be bad in your badness and enjoy it there, right? Yeah.
but you must know the metrics. There's a metric in terms of vis-a-vis your own personality for you to get
Yeah.
married
That's
to
it.
someone.
That's
You
it.
must know
That's
your
it.
metrics.
Yeah. And another thing is that we need to stop feeling bad when someone decides that we're not the right person for them. They know
Yeah.
what they're saying.
I mean,
They know what they're saying. It does not reduce our self-worth.
yeah, it
It's
doesn't.
just because if you insist and go ahead, the loggerheads will be coming up. You'll be
Yeah.
having those issues.
Learning to accept rejection.
It's
That's
not
another good
rejection.
quality.
It's not rejection.
Yes.
It's reframing. Yes, or the person knows what they're saying. Let's put it that way. So when we call it rejection, it makes it gives it a negative
Yeah, it's not
a
really
negative
a
connotation.
negative.
I don't see it as rejection.
Yeah, because people have different types of perspectives. The perspective that the person has concerning you might bring him or her to the summary or to the conclusion that you are not the best person for them.
That we won't work here.
Yeah, and they are the ones in the best position to make that decision, even
Yeah.
though it doesn't go down well with you, but you must
Yeah.
accept it.
I remember
You see-
telling a friend of mine that the girl that he's interested in, I think maybe she thinks you are too much for her. Because he was like, and then he said, "So you're just trying to make me feel good." I said, "No. I think that maybe she has looked at you and she feels I will not be able to measure up. So
yeah,
she's
it's
doing the right
possible.
thing.
It's
So don't
possible.
feel, yeah, so don't feel bad. Don't take it as rejection. It is that she knows that she can't measure up to your standards. It's possible.
And that will create a gap whenever you
Yeah.
guys get married. The gap will just continue to widen,
Yeah. Okay.
in our mind at least.
Yep. All right. So there's so much to unpack. This thing will never we'll not be able to get around it. There's so much, and I wish that we could all be more sincere and honest about these things. But there's a lot of shame and a lot of secrecy and and it shouldn't be. I mean, maybe I'm saying this because no, but I've always been like this, because I'm able to open my mouth. Because if we don't open our mouths, yes.
Yeah, it's as
Yeah.
simple as that.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well,
All right.
since I became an adult, I've been like this. Okay. All right. Let's end for today. Thank you for sharing your very wise contributions about this topic, and let's gather next weekend to talk about finding a partner when you relocated. Is it a bigger challenge? That's what we want to talk about next weekend. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your week,
Have
your
a great week,
weekend,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.
Make the
everyone.
right choices. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.